Hello and welcome to our first argument essay writing lesson. In this lesson, we're going to write an argument essay together. Prior to this lesson, I made a short video about what is involved in writing an argument essay. And if you're new to essay writing, I suggest you take a look at that video before you watch this one. Okay, so our essay question today is this: the presence of technology in the classroom has become more and more apparent and offers students tremendous resources with which to supplement their education. Given time, technology will completely replace the traditional teacher in the classroom. Do you agree or disagree with this statement? So this essay question is basically saying that technology in today's world has become so prevalent that it could possibly take the place of a human teacher in the classroom. In other words, students would not learn from a human teacher, but would learn from perhaps a computer or some other form of technology. Okay, so now the first thing that we should do before we even start writing our essay is ensure that we fully understand the question. And the first area we look at is the scope of the question. Now, the scope of an essay question is basically the areas that the essay question says we can talk about. So when we look at this question, there are three basic areas. The first is obviously technology. The second is the classroom. And the third is teachers and how they relate to these other two topics. Okay, so in our essay we can talk about these three areas, but we can't start to go off on tangents talking about other topics. We have to keep it pinpointed to these three areas. So now we know the scope of the essay question. Now let's look at the instructions, the basic question that the essay is asking us, or the task that the essay question is asking us to complete. So it says, do you agree or disagree with this statement? Now when we read this, we immediately know we're going to write an argument essay. When we're asked to agree or disagree with something, we must form a claim, and then we must come up with proof to support that claim. Now the essay question is saying that the claim can be that we agree that technology will take the place of a teacher, or that we disagree that technology disagree that technology will take the place of the teacher. Okay, so now we fully understand the question. We want to choose whether we're going to agree with this or whether we're going to disagree. And my advice is that we do what is easiest, especially if we're writing an essay in an exam environment. Now when we look at this question, I feel that to disagree would probably be the easiest route we can take. So if we decide to write a disagree essay, the first thing we need to do is to come up with some ideas that support this claim. Now prior to making this video, I had a small brainstorming session with myself, and I came up with three ideas that I think pretty well support a disagree claim to this question. Now the first thing I came up with was that teachers can cater to the needs of their students, and technology cannot do this. So, and if the word cater might be new, so cater just means to change the approach to something, or to make something work for someone in particular. So for example, if in a classroom the teacher is teaching and it's evident that the students are not understanding the topic, well, the teacher can change their teaching approach and maybe explain the topic in a different way. Now, although technology is smart, technology would not be as in tune with the students as a human teacher would be, and perhaps would not pick up the fact that students are not understanding a topic. So this is one area that supports the idea that technology will not replace a teacher in the classroom. Okay, now a second area I thought supports this is the idea of motivation. And discipline. And my thinking was basically that teachers, human teachers in the classroom, especially if they're teaching younger students, could more easily motivate the students and discipline them if it's needed. Now, in a classroom run by technology or a computer, it would again be very difficult for the computer to decipher, I would imagine, when to discipline a student or how to get the students more motivated in the topics. So that's another area that we might want to look at. Now, a third area is the teachers can include current news and personal stories in their teaching. And once again, technology cannot do this. So teachers could come to class one day having heard a news story the night before and include that news story in their lesson. And I would imagine that this would be difficult for a technologically oriented instructor to do. Now, as well, teachers can relate personal stories that they've had in the past to kind of make a richer learning environment for the students. So these are the three ideas that I thought would possibly support an essay that disagrees with our topic. Now, if you're writing this essay for an IELTS exam, well, you want to keep your essay to roughly 250 words. And in my experience, I've found that to do that, we want to have 2 supporting paragraphs. Okay, so when we look at these 3 topics, well, we want to choose the 2 strongest topics, or the 2 strongest arguments that support our topic, and use those in the 2 supporting paragraphs in our essay. So looking at these 3, I feel that the first and the second one are probably the strongest. So I'm going to take out the third one. So basically we have the beginnings of our essay plan. Now we're going to write a disagree essay, and to support this disagree essay, we're going to talk about these 2 topics. The first being that teachers can cater to the needs of the students, and the second being that teachers can, to a greater degree, motivate and discipline the students effectively. We also want to point out that these are areas that technology is not effective. Okay, so now keeping these in mind, we want to create somewhat of an essay plan. Now, if you've watched the video before, you know that an essay has 3 basic parts. It has an introduction, it has a supporting part, and it has a conclusion. And these parts are separated by different paragraphs. So firstly, we have an introduction paragraph. Paragraph. Let's bold this, it's a little bit clearer. And in the introduction paragraph, we have 4 different sections. And I suggest that we separate these sections in sentences. So we're going to write 4 sentences. The first is going to be a background statement about our topic. Now our topic is technology, so we're going to talk a bit about technology. The second is a more detailed background statement that connects the first background statement to our main topic. Now our main topic is the idea of technology in the classroom. The third is our thesis, and if you watched before, you know what a thesis is. And finally, our outline. Now the second paragraph is a supporting paragraph. Now the supporting paragraph once again has 4 different sections, which we're going to separate by sentences. The first being the topic, the second being a specific example that supports the topic, the third is a discussion, and the fourth is a conclusion. And the conclusion links our topic to our thesis. Okay, and then we have in our essay a second supporting paragraph. So this is supporting paragraph 2. And once again, this has a topic, it has an example, it has a discussion, and it has a conclusion. And finally, we have our concluding paragraph. Now the concluding paragraph only has 3 sections, and we're going to separate these again by sentences. The first is a summary, so it talks about what we talked about in supporting paragraph 1 and supporting paragraph 2. The second is a restatement of thesis, which is basically just saying the thesis in different words. And finally, we have a prediction or a recommendation. Now I'm sorry if you watched the video before and you found this little part here boring, but I thought that we could just create the outline and start at the top, and we'll write the sentences together in order. Okay. So here we're going to write 4 sentences: a background statement, a detailed background statement, a thesis, and an outline. So let's start with that. Now the background statement, we want to talk about technology just in general terms. We do not want to say anything specific, and we certainly don't want to say what our argument is. That's a stylistic thing. In the beginning, we don't want to say that we're going to disagree with this. So we might start with something like technology has been increasingly used throughout the world. This is very apparent in classrooms today. Okay, so now here I've written 2 sentences. The first being our background sentence, and the second being our detailed background sentence. The background sentence has given us a general idea of the topic, which is technology, and the detailed background sentence has connected this to the specific topic of our essay, which is being used in the classroom. Okay, so now we want to go to our thesis, and our thesis directly answers our essay question. So our essay question is, do you agree or disagree with this statement? So we would say, it is disagreed that technology will replace teachers in the classroom. Okay, so we've directly answered our essay question, and we've said what we're going to prove in the essay. Now the last sentence is the outline, and the outline is basically telling us what supporting paragraph 1 and supporting paragraph 2 are going to talk about. So we would write something like, this will be proved by analyzing how teachers can cater to the needs of their students as well as motivate and discipline them. Sorry about that. I can hardly call myself an English teacher. So if we take it from the top, technology has been increasingly used throughout the world. This is very apparent in classrooms today. It is disagreed that technology will replace teachers in the classroom. This will be proven by analyzing how teachers can cater to the needs of their students as well as motivate and discipline them. Okay. So in the introduction then, we know what the topic is, we know what our point of view is on the topic, and we know what supporting ideas we're going to use to prove this topic, to prove our thesis. So now in the supporting paragraph, well, we're going to talk about the first thing we mention up here, which is catering to the needs of students. Okay, and we're going to come up with a topic, an example, a discussion, and a conclusion. Okay, so now our topic would be something like, okay, so a very important aspect of teaching is the ability of the teacher to, we've already used the word cater, so I just want to use a different word, to shape their teaching style, we'll say, teaching style, to the needs of their students. Okay, so all we did is we stated what the topic is that we're using to support this. Now we want to come up with an example. So perhaps as an example, oops, so if students in any given class are having trouble understanding a classroom topic, the teacher can rephrase the topic and deliver it in a more effective way. So our example is basically in the classroom, if the students are not grasping what the teacher is saying, well, the teacher can rephrase this. So this example supports the topic that we've outlined at the beginning. Now the third sentence is our discussion sentence, and what the discussion sentence does is it links the example to the topic directly. Okay, and a computerized teacher would be less in tune with what students need. Just to take it from the top, so a very important aspect of teaching is the ability of the teacher to shape their teaching style to the needs of their students. As an example, if students are given a class, if students in any given class are having trouble understanding a classroom topic, the teacher can rephrase the topic and deliver it in a more effective way. A computerized teacher would be less in tune with what the students need. Okay, with what we're going to change this to what the students require and thus would be incapable of doing this. Okay, so in these three sentences, now we've given an example, and then we've turned it to the other side and just shown how technology would not be able to match a teacher in this example. So in the last sentence then, we want to link this whole paragraph to our thesis. And so it's basically, we're just saying how technology is not going to take the place of a teacher. We kind of want to say that it's obvious from this example and from this paragraph that that this is not going to happen. So we'd use a word like thus. Thus, technology will not replace teachers. Okay. Okay, now, so coming to supporting paragraph 2, and in supporting paragraph 2, our topic was motivation. Okay, so we want to say at the beginning something along the lines of so motivation motivation and discipline are key to a student's academic success in the classroom. Motivation and discipline are key to a student's academic success in the classroom. Now, just to reiterate, so this topic in supporting paragraph 2, this links way back up to in our introduction paragraph. See at the end here we have our outline sentence, and the second part of our outline sentence gives us the second supporting paragraph topic. Okay, so now back down again. Okay, so we want to come up with an example, a discussion, and a conclusion as well for this. So we might say something like an example, let's change this to this is very apparent, excuse me if I spelled that wrong, I'll check it later. This is very apparent when teaching children. As children require more motivation and discipline to be taught effectively. Let's just review that. We might want to rephrase it. Motivation and discipline are key to a student's academic success in the classroom. This is very apparent when teaching children, as children require more motivation and discipline to be taught effectively. Okay, to be taught effectively. Okay, and so now we're coming up with our discussion sentence, which once again is just going to point out that technology cannot do this. So we might say something like a technology-based teacher simply cannot accomplish this. Maybe we'll even stick in here as certain situations require judgment as to whether a student is acting in an inappropriate manner. A technology-based teacher simply cannot accomplish this, as certain situations require judgment as to whether a student is acting in an inappropriate manner. So we're basically just saying now, especially once again, that if we're teaching children, that that if the kids are not paying attention or they're acting up in class, well, kids do that. So a human teacher would be able to deal with this situation and help guide the kids, and then help them to pay attention again. But a technology-based teacher would not be able to do this. So we're arguing that this would make the entire technology-based classroom ineffective. Okay, now our last sentence once again, so we want to link our thesis to this supporting paragraph. So to do that, we would write a linking phrase. Now before we used thus, I think you can still see it in the screen here, up here, thus. So we might say something like, after analyzing this, it is clear that teachers will always be needed in the classroom. Okay, and just to take it from the top again, so motivation and discipline are key to a student's academic success in the classroom. This is very apparent when teaching children, as children require more motivation and discipline to be taught effectively. A technology-based teacher simply cannot accomplish this, as certain situations require judgment as to whether a student is acting in an inappropriate manner. After analyzing this, it is clear that teachers will always be needed in the classroom. So that's our supporting paragraph 2. Now when we come down to our concluding paragraph, so concluding. So basically the concluding paragraph just has these 3 sections, and in my opinion it's the easiest paragraph to write because you're not writing anything new. You're just writing things that you've written before. The prediction I guess might be new, but the summary and the restatement of thesis, I mean, we're just saying the things that we said before but using different words. So the summary, now the summary is very much like the outline sentence in the introduction, and it's basically saying the 2 points that we talked about. So I think we used "it has been analyzed" already. I just want to say that again. After analyzing this, okay. Following the analyzation of our first point was catering. So following the analyzation of a teacher's ability to cater to students as well as their capability of guiding, we'll say, students towards success. It is clear that technology will never replace teachers in the classroom. Okay, so here we've completed these two sections, the summary and the restatement of thesis. Our summary: following the analyzation of a teacher's ability to cater to students as well as their capability of guiding students towards success. And then our restatement of thesis: it is clear that technology will never replace teachers in the classroom. Okay, so and then the last section is simply a prediction or a recommendation, and in this situation we would write a prediction. So we're guessing that in the future that technology may be used in the classroom, but it will not take over the classroom. So it is expected that technology will have an increasing will act as a supplement to teachers and aid them in instructing their pupils. Okay, now taking that from the top again, so following the analyzation of a teacher's ability to cater to students as well as their capability of guiding students towards success, it is clear that technology will never replace teachers in the classroom. It is expected that technology will act as a supplement to teachers and aid them in instructing their pupils. So we've given our summary, our restatement of thesis, and what we expect to happen in the future, our prediction. So I can just take this out. So now that is our essay. Now of course we don't want to keep in these titles, but we can see this before I take them away, that we have our introduction paragraph, our first supporting paragraph, our second supporting paragraph, and our concluding paragraph. Now we definitely don't want to write these, especially on an exam, so I'm going to take these away, and then we'll just do one quick read through of the entire thing together, and I can see one little thing I want to edit as well, and we'll be all finished. So from the beginning, technology has been increasingly used throughout the world. This is very apparent in classrooms today. It is disagreed that technology will replace teachers in the classroom. This will be proven by analyzing how teachers can cater to the needs of their students as well as motivate and discipline them. A very important aspect of teaching is the ability of the teacher to shape their teaching style to the needs of their students. As an example, if students in any given class are having trouble understanding a classroom topic, the teacher can rephrase the topic and deliver it in a more effective way. A computerized teacher would be less in tune with what the students require and thus would be incapable of doing this. Thus, technology will not replace teachers. Sorry, we have thus, so I'm just going to change this to as a result. Technology will not replace teachers. Motivation and discipline are key to a student's academic success in the classroom. This is very apparent when teaching children, as children require more motivation and discipline to be taught effectively. A technology-based teacher simply cannot accomplish this, as certain situations require judgment as to whether a student is acting in an inappropriate manner. After analyzing this, it is clear that teachers will always be needed in the classroom. Good. Following the analyzation of a teacher's ability to cater to students as well as their capability of guiding students towards success, it is clear that technology will never replace teachers in the classroom. It is expected that technology will act as a supplement to teachers and aid them in instructing their pupils. Okay, and one thing that we've made sure to do throughout the entire essay is to use linking words, which I'm just going to add in here. Further. So some other ones we used this a lot. So after analyzing this links. A technology-based teacher cannot accomplish this. This word links us to the sentence before it. So if you watched the video before this, these are all examples of cohesion and how the essay works together as a team. Okay, that is the conclusion of our first lesson on how to write an argument essay. Thank you for listening.